What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your stimulus package update and daily news report for Monday, March 21st. So we have a lot of very interesting things that have come out over the past few days. First, we know that the White House wanted gas cards to go out to millions and millions of Americans, but they actually went against that idea, and I will explain why in just a minute. Also want to give you a little bit of a stimulus update. We're going to talk about how there's more and more Americans right now that are projected to go back into poverty or to go deeper into poverty. That's not great news, but that's the expectation at this time. We also got some news on former Vice President Mike Pence and how he could potentially be trying to position himself to run for president in 2024. So some interesting news there. And we also got this Russia-Ukraine news that came out this morning as well. And I really want to touch on that because I think that is going to be extremely important over the coming weeks. So that's what we're going to discuss in today's video. As always, if you enjoy these daily uploads, please do me a favor. Go ahead, hit that like button, and let's continue. So right now, the price of gas at the pumps, it's staying fairly level. Now, this is good news for most Americans, but it's also bad news for some because it's causing two different forms of thinking. Now, the price of gas is still too high for many to really want to continue driving. They would rather carpool to work, take public transportation, maybe walk or ride a bike. Now, others, they say that the price of gas isn't really the issue, but one of the big issues is that gas prices, if they do not continue to go up, Congress, according to multiple reports and multiple lawmakers, likely won't push for another round of relief. So, here's what's happened over the past week. And right now, again, we're in a very weird place where gas prices are so high that many people need additional relief. But gas prices aren't high enough to justify any additional package. So it's crazy what we're experiencing at this time. That's currently the world that we live in. But here's what's making matters even worse. That the Biden administration was currently, over the past few days, they were highly considering sending out prepaid gas cards to help out the American people. But there were multiple issues. Now, these issues were not just discussed here. These issues have been highlighted in previous attempts to send stimulus out to the American people. But what are these issues and why can Congress and the White House not get additional relief to the American people? Well, here's the reason why. This is according to Axios. They say that a House Democratic council talked to the White House and they actually talked them out of their plan of providing these gas cards to the American people due to the cards being either one, too expensive to send out, they were poorly targeted, which again, this is something that we've seen really at this time, multiple lawmakers just go against any bill that's more of a blanket bill covering everybody. They want to be extremely targeted, especially with high inflation. Well, that's what we're seeing. So it was not targeted enough. It was not very effective in lowering the price of gas because by giving somebody a card, they could actually take that, and again, a prepaid card, they could go take that, go get gas at the pumps. Well, if we increase demand because we give the American people more money, that actually increases the price because the supply doesn't change. Only demand goes up, which means prices will go up. And then one of the big things is that what the White House was discussing is putting this on the IRS again. The IRS would send out these prepaid gas cards to people that qualified based on their income, either from 2021 or 2020. Now, here's the issue. This House Democratic Council explained how the IRS is currently understaffed and they're in the middle of a tax season. So right now, that would be a horrible idea to put this additional burden on the IRS without actually giving the IRS more money. But the issue that I saw today is the IRS is struggling to hire people because it's actually not considered a very great paying job. And so that's the issue there is even the federal government isn't giving workers the money that they are requesting. That's causing a lot of concerns. And it's because of all of this that gas cards, as of right now, are effectively off the table. It's still being considered doing a gas tax holiday, but, and again, it's coming down to taxes, tax credits. That's where the discussions are really being held at this time. That's what's being considered. The only problem with a lot of these tax credits is that you may not see them until you file taxes in 2023, so it's not really immediate relief. And if it's not going to be immediate relief, then is there really a point to do it? That's the discussions being had at this time. Now, recently, we have had a lot of lawmakers trying to get more information as to really how to fix the issues that the American people are having. Well, one of the issues that the American people are having, it's not everybody, but a good portion, is raising children, paying for these increased costs. I read a report just the other day that it says that the average person, the average family, spends about $250,000 over the lifetime of a child. So from 0 to 18 years old, the average person or family spends about $250,000 just to raise that child. That's insane. So, lawmakers are trying to get more done to families. This is why this was called the American Families Plan. It's now called Building a Better America. Previously, Build Back Better, right? We're just changing the name, but the bill and the stuff that's in it is usually all about the same. Now, according to a recent report from Columbia University, they are saying that 4 million children are at risk of falling into poverty. They're very close. And 6 million children will fall deeper into poverty if we do not get these child tax credit payments back. Now, here's something I want to say. That's 10 million children either falling in or further into poverty. Now, once you get into poverty, studies show that it's very difficult to get out. But when you go deep into poverty, it's almost impossible to ever make your way out, right? Now, some people do. Some people are very lucky in that sense, or they're very driven. But the facts are the facts. That's usually what happens. Is once you are in poverty, that is where you will stay for the remainder of your life, and that's not the place to be. Now, at a time when many economists are projecting that inflation is going to get much higher, it's actually going to last longer than previously expected, and things are going to get worse. According to many, this is the time when the federal government must step in, provide the relief for those who are still struggling just to get back what they lost over the past 2 years of this pandemic. That's what's being discussed. And what's interesting about everything that's going on right now is people are looking at the past couple years of the pandemic, and they're thinking, okay, well, how can we get back what we once had? But according to economists, according to experts, even some lawmakers, health experts as well, the issues right now is that everybody's looking to the past, to 2019. What did we have in 2019? How can we get that back today? But experts say we need to change our way of thinking just a little bit, because we are not going to get back what we once had. We need to look forward and look really at the new lives that we're going to lead. That's going to be the difference. So we'll see what happens there. We do have some other news regarding former Vice President Mike Pence. Right now, according to multiple sources, former Vice President Mike Pence is said to be trying to distance himself from former President Donald Trump, as he says that his eyes are currently on the 2024 campaign. He wants to be president. Those are the reports that we're getting. Now, reports also indicate that this could be very tricky for the GOP, as they are attempting to get out of former President Donald Trump's kind of issues and red flags. They don't want to be associated with that anymore, but at the same time, they want to move forward with a person, right, that has half of the country on his side, and that would be former President Donald Trump. So it doesn't matter whether you're with former President Donald Trump or against him, he will most likely be part of this upcoming campaign. But Are we going to see him running against former Vice President Mike Pence? That is the likely situation at this time. So former President Donald Trump would probably have to get somebody else on his ticket. So we'll see what happens there. But one thing I can tell you, as things move forward, it's going to be very telling with the direction that we are going to go as a country. Because according to many, if Democrats do not get their act together, they do not provide something to the American people that they have promised over the past couple of years, it is looking more and more likely that Republicans will win the House and the Senate. If they win the House and the Senate, the chances of a Democratic president winning in 2024 are very unlikely. So, what happens in 2024 could be, it could come all off the heels of what happens this year in 2022 in the midterm elections. So, it's going to be a very important year. But let's get into some Russia and Ukraine news as well, because these are, it's interesting the stories that are coming out right now. Because according to the UN, the Russian invasion has actually displaced roughly 25% of Ukraine's population. That's huge. A quarter of the people in Ukraine have had to move, okay? Have to change their entire country. And the worry, according to many people, especially amongst NATO allies, is that this could be just the beginning. Russia could have their eyes set on other countries as well. So, one thing we recently learned was that when NATO believed that the invasion from Russia into Ukraine was imminent, they actually sent warships to what they deemed as the most vulnerable part of NATO's eastern flank. That was over to Latvia. Now, the worries remain the same. Once Russia is done with Ukraine, what many people are predicting is that they will just move on to another target and likely won't stop until they're forced to stop or run out of resources. And here's the issue. If China helps out Russia, they're going to have much more resources than they currently do. But at this time, they're running out of resources so quickly, some are saying and some are predicting that Russia is not even going to take over Ukraine. Now, Ukraine is already in shambles. They're already struggling, so it's going to be very tough for Ukrainians once Russia pulls out. But that's the thing, is that would still be better for Ukraine if Russia just goes back to Russia, leaves Ukraine out of this, and they can start to rebuild. Now, what went down this morning is that Russia actually demanded that Ukrainian forces surrender Mariupol by Monday morning, so this morning. But they also asked them to lay down arms. Now, Ukraine obviously didn't do this, and in return, what Russia was really saying was, if you go ahead and do this, right, you surrender Mariupol, and you lay down your arms, what we will do is we will allow food and medicine into the city. Well, that didn't happen. That's not something that Ukrainian forces want to do, because if they surrender, well, Russia could easily just take them. Okay? Cause more issues. But this wasn't something that they wanted to do. And because of this, right now, there's actually reports that dogs are eating the human remains that are laying around in the city. But then people are turning around and eating the dogs as there's currently not enough food to eat. So things are very, it's very scary right now. Some of the images that you see across the internet are very disturbing. But here's one thing I can tell you. According to reports, U.S. military aid will be coming very soon, in the next coming days. So that should help out Ukrainian forces. But at the same time, it's also considered very late. Now, it's not going to be U.S. troops. We're not sending in our military. It's just going to be military equipment. Okay? So, we will see what happens with everything that's going on right now. But this war between Russia and Ukraine, this is going to be, it's going to impact every single one of us. It already has. And some are saying that this could impact us for years. Not just weeks or months. This could be a huge impact for years. So, as always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all the latest news and updates. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.